Oh, my beloved, stop wasting your life. You have but one life to live, one. Not two, three, not a second chance here, not a reset button, no do-overs. You are not just flesh and blood. You were born with a purpose, wrapped in eternity, kissed by heaven. But how many are throwing it away, wasting it, chasing the applause of man, when all they truly crave is the whisper of God, living from moment to moment, breath to breath, never stopping to ask, why am I really here? Oh, if I could open your heart and show you what you were meant for. If I could pull back the veil even for one moment and let you see the glory that God designed you for, you would fall to your knees and cry, what have I done with my life? You have only one life. Live it with purpose. This truth, though simple, holds a weight that cannot be measured. Life is not a rehearsal, it is not a draft or a preview. There is no second version coming. What you do with this moment, this breath, this heartbeat, it matters eternally. Every morning you wake up, you are spending a portion of your life that you will never get back. And yet, how often we live as though time is an unlimited resource. We waste it on trivial pursuits, scrolling through noise, chasing approval, fearing rejection, numbing our souls to silence the ache that something greater is calling us. You have only one life. This is not just a poetic sentiment, it is a holy reality. Your days are numbered not to cause fear, but to awaken urgency. The moments you let slip through your fingers will never return. You cannot retrieve yesterday, you cannot undo last year. The opportunities you walk past in hesitation may never knock again. And yet, many walk around as though life owes them more time, as though the breath in their lungs is not a divine gift but a guarantee. But the truth is, none of us are promised tomorrow. We only have now. And even that is sacred. To live with purpose is to live awake. It is to understand that you were not born at random. You were not an accident of biology or the product of chance. You were handcrafted, formed in secret, designed with intention. There is something in this world that only you can carry, a sound only your life can release, a path only your feet can walk. But how many live disconnected from this truth? How many drift through the years, letting life happen to them, instead of rising to live it with fire and direction? Purpose is not about position. It's not about fame or wealth or recognition. It's not about building a platform or leaving your mark by the standards of this world. Purpose is alignment. It is walking in step with the reason you were created. It is waking up every day and asking, what have you called me to do today, Lord? It is understanding that your job, your talents, your relationships, everything, can be infused with eternal significance when placed in the hands of the one who made you. To live with purpose means to stop wasting energy on what doesn't matter. Stop chasing applause that fades. Stop clinging to what is comfortable but shallow. Stop feeding your soul with what starves your spirit. You don't have time to waste on a life that doesn't satisfy. You don't have time to be lukewarm. You don't have time to wander without clarity. The clock is moving. The days are slipping by. And what will you have to show for them? Will it be business without fruit? Or will it be a legacy of obedience, love, courage, and truth? Some people spend decades waiting for the right time, not realizing that time is the one thing we never control. The truth is most people don't suddenly lose their purpose. They trade it, slowly, quietly, for comfort, for ease, for fear of what others will think. They bury the dreams that once stirred their hearts because the cost of living fully seems too high. But there is a greater cost. The cost of regret, of standing at the end of your life and realizing you never really lived. You never really followed the whisper that called you deeper. You never truly surrendered the small story to embrace the great one. You have only one life. Just one. You were made for more than existing. You were made for impact, for divine assignment, for a life lit with holy fire. You were created for something greater than the world offers. Deep inside every human being is a longing for something more. More than the routine, more than the climb up ladders that lead nowhere, more than the endless pursuit of things that glitter but never satisfy. This H is not a flaw, it is a divine clue. It is the echo of eternity placed in your soul by the one who formed you. You were never meant to be satisfied by the temporary, because you were designed by the eternal. That longing you feel, that restless hunger, that inner whisper that says, there must be more. It is not wrong, it is holy. It is calling you back to the reason you were born. The world offers distractions, it offers noise, it offers pleasures that promise joy but leave you empty. It teaches you to chase success, image, wealth, influence. As if these things could ever define your worth. It tells you that if you could just achieve one more goal, earn one more dollar, gain one more follower, you would finally be fulfilled. But it's a lie. And deep down, you know it, because you've tasted it, you've tried it, you've reached for it. And still your soul is thirsty, still your heart is unsettled. You were created for more than applause. You were not made to survive from one dopamine hit to the next. You were not placed on this earth to accumulate, to perform, to impress. You were created for glory, not your own, but His. You were made to reflect the beauty of your Creator. You were formed to walk in divine partnership, to live a life that is not just successful, but significant in the eyes of heaven. The world offers imitation light, but you were made for the real thing, for depth, for a connection so powerful that everything else pales in comparison. The problem is not desire, it is direction. The desires in your heart were planted by God, but the world has distorted their aim. You long to be known. He made you for intimacy. You long to be seen. He formed you to shine for Him. You long to matter. He called you by name, not to blend in, but to stand out in righteousness, love, and holiness. But when you feed divine desires with earthly substitutes, you begin to die slowly. You begin to forget who you are. You begin to settle for less, for what the crowd says is enough, for what is popular instead of what is powerful. There is a reason nothing in this world has fully satisfied you. It's because you were never meant to be satisfied by it. Every treasure here fades. Every crown here crumbles. Every earthly success has an expiration date. But you were created for the eternal. You were made to walk in purpose that echoes beyond this lifetime. You were formed with gifts, with dreams, with passions that are not random. They are assignments waiting to be activated. And yet, many spend their entire lives chasing what they were never meant to catch. They pour out their strength building a name for themselves, while their soul withers from neglect. They hunger for validation from the world, forgetting they were already chosen, already loved, already seen by the one who made them. They climb mountains God never asked them to climb and wonder why the summit still feels hollow. When you try to fit into a world you were never made for, you will always feel like something is missing. That he will not go away until you realign with your divine design. You were made to carry light, to bring hope, to walk in authority that doesn't come from power or position, but from knowing whose you are. The world will keep offering you substitutes. It will keep shooting over the still, small voice that calls you higher. But you were created for more. You were created to rise, to lead, to burn with a fire the world cannot explain. Earthly success cannot fill eternal emptiness. You can climb the highest ladders, build the greatest empires, be praised by thousands, and still lie awake at night feeling hollow. You can earn every award, reach every goal, and hold every title and still feel the deep, quiet ache inside that whispers, "Is this all there is?" The world has trained us to equate success with meaning. But what is success if the soul is starving? What is victory if the heart is empty? What is applause if you can't feel peace when the crowd is gone? So many are living for what fades, striving for the next promotion, the next recognition, the next level of influence, thinking that when they get there they'll finally feel whole. But it never works. The hunger doesn't leave. The emptiness grows. The smile becomes more practiced, the laughter more forced, because deep down, the truth is the soul cannot be fed by things that do not last. What is built on sand will always sink. What is rooted in ego will always collapse. What is driven by fear will never satisfy. We live in a world obsessed with image. Appearances are everything. The highlight reel is celebrated while the inner life is ignored. But eternity does not measure by likes, followers, profits, or popularity. Heaven does not count the things we so desperately chase. It is not impressed by the size of our platforms, but moved by the posture of our hearts. It sees through the shine to what truly remains. It sees whether the soul is alive or asleep, whether the heart is aligned or adrift. Many spend their lives trading eternal purpose for temporary gain. They silence conviction in the name of opportunity. They compromise identity for approval. They sacrifice calling on the altar of comfort. And in doing so, they may succeed in the eyes of the world. But at what cost? A busy schedule is not the same as a fulfilled life. An overflowing bank account cannot buy peace. A flawless reputation cannot mend a broken soul. The world offers achievement as the answer, but it never delivers on its promise. The emptiness inside is not a failure. It is a signal. It is not something to numb or hide from. It is a divine indicator that something more is needed, that what the world gives will never be enough, that the soul was made for deeper things, for presence, not performance, for truth, not trends, for a relationship, not reputation. It is not weakness to admit that success has not healed the ache. It is the beginning of waking up. Real fulfillment doesn't come from what you build with your hands, but what you allow God to build in your heart. It doesn't come from how high you climb, but how surrendered you become. Fulfillment is not found in being known by many, but in being known by Him. You can achieve all you ever dreamed of and still feel lost if your spirit has not been anchored in something greater than yourself. The world praises what is visible, but God moves in the unseen. He looks past your resume and straight into your soul. He is not after your performance, your metrics, or your milestones. He is after your heart. He is after the parts of you that success cannot touch, because only He can fill the eternal space inside of you. Only He can meet the need that no accomplishment can reach, the need to be loved without condition, the need to be known and still chosen, the need to be free from the endless striving that drains your strength and blurs your vision. Only He can satisfy the longing that earthly success keeps awakening, but can never fulfill. God's calling on your life never expires. It is not dependent on age, status, past mistakes, or how much time you think you've lost. It does not vanish when you take a detour, does not disappear when you fail, and does not diminish when you feel forgotten. The calling placed on your life was written before you ever took your first breath. It was etched in eternity before you opened your eyes to this world. It is not a fragile thing that can be broken by human weakness. It is not conditional upon perfect choices or flawless performance. It is secured by the one who called you. You may have wandered. You may have taken wrong turns, stayed in the wrong places, clung to the wrong people, or believed the wrong voices. But the calling still stands. You may have been told you're too late, too damaged, too far gone. But none of those lies have the power to erase what God wrote over your life. The enemy wants you to believe that your mistakes have misqualified you, but grace says otherwise. Grace does not erase your calling, it redeems the story around it. The chapters you thought disqualified you become testimonies that glorify the one who never let go. God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. He does not look for perfection, He looks for surrender. He does not need your rinsumi, He wants your availability. He can use the broken, the bruised, the weary, and the unsure. He can work through what you thought He would walk away from. And He never withdraws His call because of your weakness. In fact, it is in your weakness that His strength becomes visible. His power is made perfect not in your pride, but in your surrender. The delays, the disappointments, the silence. They may have made you question everything, but none of them can cancel what heaven decreed. So many people think they've missed it. They think they're too old or too unworthy, that the opportunity has passed them by. But God is not limited by time. He is not surprised by your detours. He saw them before they ever happened, and He already made a way through them. The call still remains. It is not collecting dust in some forgotten corner of your past. It is still alive. It is still waiting. It is still calling your name. The gifts He placed in you are still there. The passion you once carried is not lost. It is buried, waiting to be awakened. You may have grown tired. Life may have drained your hope. You may have settled for survival. But the coal still burns. Deep beneath the surface, beneath the disappointments, beneath the layers of fear and fatigue, the fire has not gone out. You may not feel it, but that doesn't mean it's not there. The calling on your life is not based on feelings. It is rooted in the faithfulness of God. He finishes what He starts. He does not abandon His plans. What He begins, He brings to completion. Not through your strength, but through His power and grace. The world may try to measure your value by what you've done or what you've achieved, but God sees your calling before you've even stepped into it fully. It is not earned, it is received. It is not man-made, it is heaven ordained. Even when you don't know how it will unfold, even when you feel unprepared, even when the vision feels too big or too distant, it still belongs to you. It was written for you, and it will wait for until you are ready to say yes. The call of God does not expire. It does not grow dim with time. It remains unwavering, eternal, calling you back to the purpose for which you were born. True fulfillment begins with surrender. Not with striving, not with ambition, not with achieving everything on your list, but with a quiet, courageous act of laying everything down. Surrender is not weakness, it is the deepest form of strength. It is the place where the soul finally finds rest, not because all the answers have arrived, but because control has been released into the hands of the one who never fails. So many are running, pushing, proving, reaching, and exhausting themselves, believing that fulfillment will come when they've finally accomplished enough. But fulfillment isn't a reward you earn at the end of performance. It's the fruit of a heart that yields. The world teaches the opposite. It says fulfillment comes through independence, through controlling your own destiny, through self-reliance and relentless pursuit. It tells you to plan your own future, build your own kingdom, make your own name great. But that kind of success is fragile. It wears you thin. It leaves you always wondering what more you must do to keep what you've built. The fulfillment the world offers always has strings attached. It's conditional. It's temporary. It's loud and shiny, but it never touches the deepest part of your being. It leaves you chasing, constantly chasing, and never truly arriving. Surrender, on the other hand, looks like foolishness to the world. It looks like giving up, like losing control, like abandoning dreams. But in reality, Surrender is where true life begins. It's the moment you stop carrying what was never yours to carry. It's the moment your soul breathes, your spirit lifts, and your heart finds alignment with divine purpose. Fulfillment begins when you stop writing your own story and let God hold the pen. It begins when you place your dreams on the altar and say, even if you take it all, I still trust you. That kind of surrender doesn't strip you of identity. It reveals your true identity. There's a quiet power that comes when you stop fighting against what you were never meant to control. There's peace in knowing that your worth isn't tied to outcomes. There's freedom in releasing your future into the hands of the one who designed it. And it's in that place of surrender that your heart becomes fertile ground for purpose to grow. Suddenly, you're no longer striving to be significant. You know you already are. You're no longer trying to be seen. You rest in being known. You stop trying to impress and begin to express the love that lives within you. Surrender opens the door to intimacy with God. It removes the barriers of pride, fear, and performance. It allows you to be led rather than driven. It teaches you to listen instead of panic, to trust instead of manipulate, to follow instead of force. It is not passive resignation, it is active trust. It is not giving up on life. It is giving your life in the hands of the one who gave it to you in the first place. In surrender, you stop demanding that life go your way and begin discovering the way it was always meant to go. When you finally surrender, your life becomes lighter. You no longer carry the pressure to make everything happen. You no longer have to manufacture peace or pretend to have it all together. You become available. For joy, for love, for guidance, for miracles. You begin to see that the closed doors were protection. The delays were preparation. The silence was an invitation to go deeper. And the struggles that once defined you are now part of your testimony, not your identity. Fulfillment is not something you stumble into after enough effort. It begins the moment you go off your grip and lift your hands in faith. Stop hiding behind fear, comfort, or pride. These three barriers, though they wear different faces, all serve the same purpose: to keep you from stepping fully into the life you were created to live. Fear whispers that you're not enough, that you'll fail, that others will judge you, that you'll lose control. Comfort tells you there's no need to risk, that staying where you are is easier, safer, more manageable. Pride convinces you that admitting your need, your weakness, or your mistakes will make you look small, exposed, vulnerable. And yet all three are prisons dressed as protection. Fear keeps you looking backwards, replaying the same doubts, rehearsing the same excuses. It makes you shrink back from open doors and settle for shadows. You begin to build a life around what could go wrong, rather than what might go right. You plan around worst-case scenarios instead of believing for divine possibilities. Fear does not prevent pain, it prevents growth. It convinces you that staying still is safety, when in reality it's stagnation. The voice of fear is never silent, but it is always a liar. It does not have the final word unless you give it one. Comfort, while more subtle, is just as dangerous. It doesn't scream like fear, it soothes. It makes a home in routines that no longer challenge you. It wraps around you like a blanket and says, stay here, don't reach higher, don't stretch, don't change. But purpose was never meant to be comfortable. Growth requires friction. Destiny demands movement. And when you begin to prefer the comfort of the familiar over the call to the unknown, you begin to settle for less than what was promised. Comfort numbs you. It dulls your passion. It slowly silences the dream inside of you until it becomes a memory instead of a mission. Pride wears a different mask. It often hides under strength, intelligence, and achievement. It says, I've got this. I don't need help. I can handle it. But pride isolates. It builds walls where there should be bridges. It resists surrender, because surrender feels like losing control. It resists vulnerability because vulnerability feels like weakness. But pride does not protect you. It disconnects you. It keeps you from the healing that comes through honesty. It keeps you from the guidance that comes through humility. Pride says, I'll figure it out on my own, while purpose says, I'll follow the one who knows the way. You were never meant to live behind these walls. You were not designed to shrink, to settle, or to stand alone. There is more in than you've dared to believe. But you'll never see it until you stop letting fear drive your decisions. You'll never reach it until you're willing to be uncomfortable. You'll never walk in it until you choose humility over self-reliance. The breakthrough you long for is not on the other side of your strength. It's on the other side of your surrender. There is a life waiting for you beyond the fear you've fed, the comfort you've chosen, and the pride you've protected. There are people who need the story you've been too afraid to tell. There are doors that will open when you take the first trembling step. There are gifts in you that will never be activated until you stop playing it safe. Playing small doesn't honor God. Shrinking back doesn't preserve your life. It paralyzes it. The fire inside of you was not meant to flicker quietly. It was meant to burn brightly. You are not here to hide. You are here to shine, to rise, to step forward even when your voice shakes and your knees tremble. You don't need more time. You need to wake up. Time is not the issue. You've had time. Days have passed, seasons have shifted, and still the delay continues not because you lack hours, but because you've been waiting for something outside of you to change while ignoring what must shift within. We speak of needing more hours, more clarity, more confirmation, but time has never been the missing piece. The missing piece has been decision. Awakening is not a matter of the clock. It is a matter of the heart. How many mornings have you opened your eyes only to close your spirit? How many days have you walked through in a haze, moving but not alive, busy but not purposeful, surrounded by noise yet untouched by truth? The days slip by not because you don't care, but because you haven't realized just how much is at stake. You've been lulled into sleep by distractions, numbed by routines, sedated by comforts. And all the while time marches on, waiting for no one, indifferent to your excuses, immune to your hesitation. The tragedy is not that life is short. It's that so many live it half awake. You keep saying you'll start tomorrow, when things feel easier, when you have more motivation, when you feel more inspired. But tomorrow is a lie that delays destiny. Tomorrow has become the graveyard of dreams. The longer you wait, the quieter the voice inside becomes. The longer you stay asleep, the harder it becomes to rise. And what you don't realize is that while you wait, while you pause, while you scroll and settle and distract yourself with surface-level things, the moments you were meant to live are passing you by. The people you were meant to reach are walking through their own storms without the light you carry. You don't need more signs. You don't need more confirmations. You don't need everything to make sense before you move. What you need is to wake up to the truth that has been whispering all along. That you are here for more than survival. That your life is not a random accident. That you were not placed here to simply exist, but to live fully, courageously, intentionally. That spark you feel. The one that flickers when you hear truth. The one that stirs when you see someone else walking boldly in purpose. That spark is your wake-up call. Every breath is a chance. Every sunrise is a fresh invitation. But the invitation does not last forever. Doors eventually close. Seasons shift, opportunities fade. And if you don't respond, someone else will. Purpose is never forced. It is offered. And it's being offered to you now. Not when you feel more prepared, not when life calms down, not when you think you've earned it. Now. The time you think you need more of is already in your hands. What you do with it determines everything. It's not about chasing time. It's about redeeming it. It's about choosing to live wide awake, to stop going through the motions, to stop numbing the pain with entertainment, to stop drowning the call with excuses. It's about realizing that the clock is not waiting for you to get your life together. The clock is moving, with or without your permission. And every minute you spend asleep to your purpose is a minute you'll never get back. Wake up to your calling. Wake up to the urgency of now. Wake up to the truth that life is happening whether you're ready or not. Wake up to the possibility that today, right now, is holy ground. That the miracle you've been waiting for is already in motion, but you'll miss it if you stay asleep. That the person you were always meant to be is not far off. It's who you become the moment you decide to rise. There is a cost to wasting your life, and it is far greater than you think. It is not just about lost time. It is about lost purpose, lost encounters, lost transformation. Every moment spent in distraction is a moment you could have spent in divine alignment. Every excuse you make builds another wall between you and the fullness of who you were created to be. Wasting your life doesn't always look like rebellion or recklessness. Sometimes it looks like routine without revelation, business without direction, movement without meaning. You can live every day in motion and still be missing the mark if your heart is not surrendered to what truly matters. You were born with something sacred in you. Not just talent or potential, but a divine assignment. Something uniquely yours to carry, something the world desperately needs. But when you ignore it, when you bury it beneath fear or comfort or distraction, the world misses out on what you were meant to release. Your silence leaves a space unfilled. Your delay becomes someone else's detour. We do not live in isolation. Our choices ripple out far beyond ourselves. What you think is only affecting your own path is, in reality, shaping the paths of many. There are moments in life that call you higher, moments that demand a decision, moments where the cost of staying the same becomes heavier than the risk of change. These are the crossroads where destiny is shaped. To waste your life is not just to do wrong. It is to avoid doing what is right. It is to remain in comfort when you are called to courage. It is to sit in silence when you are meant to speak. It is to spend your energy on what will burn away, rather than investing in what will remain. The cost of that waste is invisible at first, but over time it becomes undeniable. You begin to feel it in the quiet disappointment that lingers at the end of every day. You feel it in the weariness that no amount of sleep can touch. You feel it when you're surrounded by people but still feel alone, when you achieve everything you thought would satisfy you and still feel empty. The cost of wasting your life is the loss of true joy, the kind that comes only when you know you're living in obedience to something greater than yourself. It is the loss of peace, because deep down, you know you were made for more. And the tragedy is not just in the loss, it's in the deception, because the world will applaud your business. It will validate your distractions. It will praise your hustle, even as it robs you of your soul. It will say you're successful while you're spiritually bankrupt. It will reward you for playing a part, even if you've forgotten who you really are. And so many believe they are thriving, while they are merely surviving under the weight of unfulfilled purpose. That is the high cost of a wasted lifing, to gain the world and lose your soul in the process. But you do not have to pay that price. You do not have to live numb, distracted, disconnected from what truly matters. You do not have to let another day pass you by without intention, without vision, without obedience. There is a cost to wasting your life, but there is also a reward for giving it away, for pouring it out, for saying yes to the call even when it costs you comfort or reputation or control. There is a weight to your life, a glory meant to rest upon your days, but it can only be found when you stop treating time as though it's endless and purpose as though it's optional. Beloved, the time is now. Not tomorrow, not someday, not when everything feels easy or certain, but now. You were not born to drift through life, numbed by distractions or imprisoned by fear. You were born for purpose, for fire, for impact. Every breath in your lungs is evidence that God is not finished with you yet. The call still stands. The gifts are still alive. The door is still open. But you must decide. Will you keep wasting what cannot be replaced, or will you rise and surrender everything? Your plans, your pride, your comfort, at the feet of the one who gave you life. Stop hiding. Stop running. Stop waiting for a perfect moment that will never come. The world does not need a version of you that is polished and passive. It needs the real you. Awake, alive, surrendered, and on fire with divine purpose. Heaven is not looking for perfection, it is looking for willingness. And if you will say yes, even with trembling hands and a hesitant heart, God will take that yes and do what only He can do. So I plead with you, stop wasting your life. Stop treating your calling like it's disposable. Stop waiting to be qualified when God is waiting for you to be available. Time is moving, eternity is real, and you, yes you, were made for such a time as this. Say yes, come alive, and don't look back.